Alright guys, as I mentioned earlier, today I'm going to teach you a very simple and easy strategy. For this strategy, we only need one indicator and one oscillator, so it's not difficult or complicated. I'll add the indicator and oscillator to the chart and explain everything in detail, including the philosophy behind this strategy and what we're looking for. First, we're going to apply this strategy on candlestick charts, and the time frame for the candles should be 1 minute. The trade duration should be 2 minutes. I'm testing this strategy on the quotex broker, but you can use it on any platform you prefer. The first indicator we need to add to the chart is the Bollinger Bands. We'll set the period to 20 and the deviation to 4. I'll also make the lines of the upper and lower bands a bit thicker so that they are easier to see in the video. This should make it more visible for you. Alright friends, we also need the stochastic oscillator, which we'll add to our chart from this section. And we'll keep the settings at the default, 1433. We just need to adjust the overbought and oversold levels to 80 and 20. We want to make a slight adjustment here. We'll take a more strict approach to this area. Now, let me increase the thickness of these lines as well, so that they are easier to see in the video. And now with these two lines adjusted like this, I think it's easier to see. Now I think it would be better if we make the oscillator a bit larger as well. Let me make it full screen so we can have a clearer view. Alright friends, I've randomly opened a chart to explain the strategy here, and then we'll do a few trades together using this strategy. If any additional explanations are needed while trading, I'll provide them. Like many other strategies I've discussed in the channel, this one is also about finding overbought and oversold areas. The core idea behind indicators like the stochastic oscillator, RSI, and many others is to identify these areas to understand where a trend reversal might occur. This is where the price has gone too high and is likely to reverse down, or has dropped too low and is about to go up. By spotting these points, we can open a trade. I've mentioned this in various videos before, and I'll say it again here. The stochastic oscillator and RSI work in the same way. There are two horizontal lines. Here we've set them to 80 and 20. These are the overbought and oversold levels. The two moving lines within the stochastic chart, one green and one red, fluctuate between 0 and 100. When the lines go above the 80 line, that's an indication of overbought conditions. When they drop below the 20 line, it shows oversold conditions. At these points, we expect a trend reversal. For instance, when the lines cross above 80, we anticipate the price might drop soon. When the lines fall below 20, we expect the price to rise. Our goal is to find that exact moment when the trend turns and open a trade right there. This is the core of our strategy, which is similar to other strategies I've shared before. The indicators may vary, but the fundamental approach remains the same. You can choose the one you prefer and use it. Alright, this Bollinger Bands indicator works in a similar way. It forms an envelope around the candles with an upper and a lower boundary. I've marked them in red and green. Whenever our candles approach the lower boundary and touch it, we understand that the price is reaching oversold levels. On the other hand, when the candles move up and approach the upper green boundary, the price is reaching overbought levels. We combine these two indicators to help us confirm when the price is truly in overbought or oversold territory. I'll explain exactly when you should enter a trade, expecting a trend reversal. For example, take a look at this area. We can see that on the stochastic oscillator, the price is above the 80 level indicating overbought conditions. But on the Bollinger Bands, the price is in the middle of the band, meaning it's not near the upper boundary, so it wouldn't be safe to trade here. We want to use both indicators to find more reliable points. Now, focus on this spot. Here, we see that the green candles are part of an upward trend, reaching the upper boundary of the Bollinger Bands, the green line, indicating overbought conditions. The first thing we want to confirm is whether the candles are near one of the two boundaries, upper or lower. Here they're near the upper one, so we check the stochastic oscillator. Looking at the stochastic, both lines are above the 80 level, confirming that the price is in overbought territory. Now, when should we open our trade? Let's pay attention to the stochastic oscillator again. It has two lines, green and red. If the price is in overbought territory, both lines will be above the 80 level, but the green line must be above the red line, and it should start curving down. Here, you can see the green line is beginning to curve down, and as soon as it crosses below the red line, that's our signal to enter the trade. If you look closely at the point where my cursor is, you can see this crossover happened. Now look above at the chart. It's exactly on the red candle. If we had opened a 2-minute sell trade at the beginning of this red candle, or even at the next candle after the crossover, our trade would have ended in profit. Alright, look at this section, guys. This is the reverse situation. We see these red candles have come down and touched the lower boundary. The tip of the candle has hit this lower boundary. Now, if we look at the stochastic, we can see that it's near the oversold region. We wait for this to happen. Here, it's the opposite of the previous situation. The green line of the stochastic should be below the red line, and with a circular upward movement, it should cross the red line. Here, we see that the crossover has happened. On the second green candle, as soon as we saw this crossover, we opened our 2-minute trade at the beginning of the next candle. 1 minute would be the candle's duration, and the next 2 minutes for the trade. Right here, our trade would have closed with profit. Also look here, these red candles came down and touched the lower boundary of the Bollinger Bands indicator. This candle touched it, but when we look at the stochastic, both lines are still around the 20 level, or even if they crossed below, they are moving downwards. The upward circular movement we need isn't there, and the green line hasn't crossed above the red line, so we shouldn't open a trade here. We wait, and another red candle forms. When we look at it again, the crossover still hasn't happened, but once the crossover occurs, we see it on this green candle. When we saw the crossover, we opened our trade at the start of the doji-like red candle, and after 2 minutes, our trade closed with profit. The price went up. If we see that the candles are near or touching the boundary, but the stochastic doesn't give us the signal or confirmation, we don't open a trade. For instance, if we see the opposite situation, where the price on the stochastic is above, in overbought territory, and there's even an arc indicating the circular movement, and the crossover has happened with the green line crossing below the red line, we still don't trade if the candles are not near the upper boundary. Even if a trade would have ended in profit here, it carries more risk. If we trade in all these situations, we may end up with more losses than wins. Personally, I filter my trades to minimize risk. While this means I may take fewer trades, it's more reliable and secure. For example, here, a trade would have been profitable, but I recommend not trading if there's a distance from the boundary. Always make sure all the criteria I've mentioned are met. Now let's go ahead and make a few trades together, and if there are any specific points, I'll explain them to you during the process. Stay with me, and we'll check the outcome of these trades.
To easily and freely register with the Quotex broker, click on the link in the video description.
So here guys, we can see that a downtrend has formed and this candle's shadow has come very close to the lower boundary. At the same time, Our stochastic is showing us that this candle has entered the oversold territory. The crossover has also happened, and I opened a 2-minute upward trade. Along with these strategies, friends, make sure to pay attention to price action and candle patterns as well. Here, it entered oversold territory, and when we see a green candle forming at the end of a downtrend with a long lower wick that comes close to the lower boundary of the Bollinger Bands, it clearly shows us that the strength of the downtrend is weakening and a trend reversal is about to happen. You can see how easily this reversal occurred, and we were able to execute a successful trade. Now, our trade is still ongoing, but with the gap and strength of this green candle moving upwards, it's almost certain that it will close in profit. It just requires a little attention, guys. You don't have to make trading overly complicated or think that it needs to follow rigid rules. You need to understand the chart, practice, and get your eyes used to spotting these patterns. For example, when a candle with a long lower wick comes so close to the boundary like this one, and the stochastic line is moving upwards with the crossover already completed, it's a clear indication that the trend is about to reverse, and our trade will close with a profit. Yes, as you saw, our trade successfully came to an end, and we managed to make a profit here. Now I will continue looking through different charts to find more opportunities. Alright guys, I opened another trade here. We can see these red candles approaching the lower boundary of our Bollinger Band indicator, and the shadow of this candle has made contact, getting quite close. Simultaneously, on the stochastic, we can see that the crossover has occurred, with the green line crossing upwards over the red line. After seeing this crossover, I opened a 2-minute upward trade. Let's wait together to see the result of this trade. Now let's take note of an important point. While the strategy I explained earlier has been followed here, we can also observe that the downward trend has produced a few doji candles and weak candles with long lower shadows, indicating a potential trend reversal. According to the explanations I've provided in previous videos on candle psychology and candle patterns, we can be somewhat confident that a trend reversal is likely to occur here. At the end of a downtrend, we see 2 doji candles and green candles with long lower shadows showing buying pressure. The sellers were unable to push the price lower, and this gives us confidence that the price will rise. You can see how easily we can understand the market and make successful trades using all the points I've discussed in various videos on this channel. Don't make trading more complicated than it needs to be. You don't have to follow strict rules or frameworks like a robot. While I was explaining, you saw that this trade closed in profit. Now let's look at this trade from a price action and candle pattern perspective, ignoring the strategy I explained earlier. This downward trend was strong, but the candles became weaker over time. Then we saw a big, strong candle again, followed by a spinning top and a doji, and then a green candle with a long lower shadow. At this point, it's signaling that the downtrend is losing strength, and the trend is likely to reverse. As we can see, the next green candle was stronger, followed by even stronger ones, and the bullish momentum continued to increase. Now we'll see how this next candle behaves. So, guys, trading is much simpler than you might think. You just need to pay attention to the details and keep in mind the points I've covered in previous videos. If you watch the videos on candle psychology, candle patterns, and technical analysis, you'll be able to trade easily. And while using this strategy, it's helpful to also keep an eye on price action to achieve better results. Look here, guys. This is exactly what I explained during the previous trade. We can see that this downtrend is losing strength. The bodies of the candles are getting weaker. The body of this one has become very weak. From a candlestick psychology perspective, This green candle has now formed a higher high. The low has also moved higher, meaning we have a higher low and a higher high. This suggests that the next candle is likely to be bullish as well. I'll open my trade at the beginning of the next candle. The crossover has already happened, and everything is indicating that we can enter a buy trade. Now, of course, my internet is acting up a bit, and I don't know why it's gotten so slow. Some of my trades are opening late. Like from the moment I click, I can see that it opens slightly higher. I wanted to open the trade at the beginning of this candle, but it went a bit higher. Well, it's okay. We are discussing the educational points, and it's clear that this trade will probably close with a profit and won't end in a loss. But I prefer to open it at the start of the candle. So, from the strategy's perspective, everything is in place here. From an analytical viewpoint too, setting aside the strategy for a moment, the downtrend has lost its strength. Here, at the end of the trend, we see a spinning top and then a green candle formed. Looking at it from a candlestick pattern perspective, we see an engulfing bullish pattern has formed as well. Compared to the previous candle, this one is much stronger when we consider the body to wick ratio and the high to low comparison. Based on everything I explained in those 4 parts on candlestick psychology, we're now sure that this trend is becoming bullish and we can make a trade with more confidence. Now let's wait for about 40 more seconds until this trade ends and see the result. Well friends, you saw that our trade was also closed with profit. Our 3rd trade in a row was also successfully completed. Of course, this trade should also be opened at the beginning of this candle. This amount could have been opened due to the problem of the note in the middle of this candle, but our trade turned into a profit. Well friends, I think it's enough. I have explained. I don't want the video to be too long to bore you. If you have any questions or problems regarding this strategy, write to me in the comments. Be sure to use this strategy on your demo account and see the result and win rate. Write yourself in the comments if you like to take a picture of the trade you are doing. Send me on Instagram so that I can post your photos here in the truck part of the channel. Seeing your trader will be an energy and motivation for other friends, maybe a little. They have recently joined our group and they are getting acquainted with this method and binary option, and they want to trade and get some energy and motivation. See if this is possible. You dear ones were able to get a good and positive result.
Dear friends, to make sure you don't miss any of our videos, please subscribe to the BS Academy channel. Also, activate the notification bell so that you are informed as soon as we publish new videos. Thank you for your support.